Good evening, Papua New Guinea, and thank you for joining us for another episode of Business PNG for the year 2015. Australia-PNG bilateral relations has always been quite strong, and summits such as next week's 31st Australia-PNG Business Forum and Trade Expo are tools used to cement this relationship. This year's forum will be hosted in the country's industrial hub, Lae City, for the first time, with the theme Bridging the Gap, Meeting Expectations. The theme aims to capture the important message that Papua New Guinea has unprecedented opportunity to turn the economic value of today's resources boom into tomorrow's future prosperity for all its people. Executive Director of the Business Council of PNG, Doveri Hanau, stopped by the Business PNG studios to explain further. Tonight on the show, I have with me the Executive Director of the Business Council of Papua New Guinea, Mr. Doveri Hanau. Welcome to the show, sir. How are you?
Very well, Leanne.
Awesome. First things first, can you tell us about the annual 31st Australia-PNG Business Forum and Trade Expo? What can we expect?
Bigger and better. This is the 31st Forum and Expo we're having, and it's also quite different. We selected Lae primarily because we wanted to explore and continue to contribute to the debate on our primary theme, which is bridging the gap and meeting expectations. Yep. And so there's 6 sessions. They're all packed with exciting experts in the field of development, business, corporate strategy, sure, public policy. And it's all about looking at how the bilateral is contributing in bridging the gap of our people participating in business and also their own social development. And at the same time, fundamentally meeting the expectations. There's so much business can do, there's so much government can do, there's so much civil society can do. Yeah, yeah. So the theme and the timing is absolutely relevant. 6 sessions, excellent speakers. The format is also 3 workshops simultaneously in the areas of trade, agriculture, and also in public-private partnerships in PPP. Yeah. So the forum itself is exciting. We also have the Trade Expo as well. There are 30 companies that will be showing their products at the Lae International Hotel, which is where the venue is. And Leanne, the exciting thing about this engagement is it's become a very important bilateral relationship as well. Yeah, yeah. So within the margins of this forum and expo, we're also having various Australian and PNG government official and business roundtable meetings occurring as well. So it's an exciting time, and we certainly look forward to putting a comprehensive and thorough engagement for business and the people of Lae.
Okay. Sure. So this bilateral relations between Australia and Papua New Guinea, what are some of the results? You know, as you mentioned, it's the 31st annual forum and Trade and Expo. What are some of the results that have come about because of this bilateral relations, and what could come of it?
Okay. Well, first of all, let's look at the relationship of Australia, Papua New Guinea. Everybody knows that there is an aid relationship of $300 million annually. Yep. But that relationship, unfortunately, has become the limelight of our engagement. But if you look at the two-way trade that exists, it's in excess of $5 billion. So fundamentally, Australia still remains a very important part of our economic relationship. Sure. And because of these reasons, we need to look at rebalancing the conversation so that we are promoting business, economic relationship, and trade and investment. Yeah. Again, just to give you another example, the Papua Basin, the southern part of our mainland, it's a hot spot for foreign direct investment, both in the extractive industry and also in the other areas of forestry and fisheries as well. Sure. Almost half of those investors, and if not more, are from Australia. And so there's a unique relationship that exists between Papua New Guinea and Australia. And this forum looks at facilitating those sorts of conversations and opportunities. But as I mentioned, it's gone beyond a mere business discussion in its early format, we're now having a robust governmental conversations as well. There are discussions that the Australia PNG government want to explore on how private sector can assist in aid program, for example. So again, we're quite excited that this sort of relationship, this forum has provided this sort of engagement, and these sorts of discussions are evolving. Back in 2011, Prime Ministers Rad and Somare also saw the wisdom of this important engagement between business and officials in enhancing this relationship. And they made a ministerial declaration that there should be a business officials working group to iron out commercial challenges, promote economic and trade relations, and of course contributing to the aid formulations as well. Okay. So these discussions are quite live, they're quite fruitful, and since 2011 we've come a long way in reducing the gap on having public-private programs, discussions in separate ways to come together. And so some of the successes in those discussions are collaborations in health programs. We are going to see a lot of businesses actively participating in public health activities such as the tuberculosis program, and also others that are also coming into the fora. And another important part is also in the delivery of technical vocational training. We're quite excited on those discussions as well. Sure. So certainly the forum and the expo annually has provided that environment to discuss these important issues with Australia and the PNG government.
Okay, fair enough. Last year at the same conference in Cairns, the hot topic was the autonomous region of Bougainville, and with President Momas in attendance and Panguna's future up in the air, the region was a timely topic. What do you expect will be the topics discussed in this edition of the conference?
Yeah. Partnership with government is definitely going to be our focus. Businesses from both Australia and PNG are wanting a stronger engagement, and we've already seen that, as I mentioned. Yeah. So the next step is, how does this engagement evolve into practical outcomes? The sessions are geared towards that sort of discussion. So for example, in the session 1, Minister Abel and several other corporates will be talking about how they're using their particular programs, policies and mandates in bridging that gap. Whether it's Minister Abel's Sustainable Development Policy, or whether it's Digicel Foundation's education program. The whole idea is to look at ways in which we can collaborate. Okay. And then evolving in that subject, we will then see also, more importantly, the new investments that are coming in. So again, we're quite excited to have General Electric. Yeah. We're also having the innovative agro-industry discussing about their footprint and their investment programs. And also Vodafone will also come into the discussions as well. So primarily it's all about building that relationship on promoting partnerships with the state. Sure. There's also a new format that we've put in place where the young leaders of Papua New Guinea do talk about the future of the relationship. So we're quite excited to have the likes of George Griffin. He's a young entrepreneur that's quite active in the recruitment space, and his views on how the bilateral relationship is evolving. Okay. Cassandra Rangib, she runs a very successful NGO organization named after the late Miss Kapari that perished in Mount Hagen. Yeah. So these are the sorts of young voices that we'll be hearing coming out in this forum. Okay. And fundamentally, it's also an opportunity to promote industries that have been in the backdrop of Papua New Guinea. So definitely agriculture is a strong focus that we'd like to promote. And we've got excellent speakers coming in. Naomi Nolik, who has a fresh produce depot outside Kagamuga Airport. And she works tirelessly with the farmers of the Western Highlands in both bringing the supply to Hagen, but also using a partnership, a unique partnership with Mahesh Patel in supplying fresh produce to the Stop and Shop's outlets in Port Moresby. So it's going to be an exciting engagement.
Yeah, sure.
And then lastly, the session ends up with a resource update.
Okay.
So we're in the backyard of Wafi Golpu, so we'll hear the folks from Newcrest and others discuss that. And also Secretary Vele from the Department of Treasury will give us an update on the status of the Sovereign Wealth Fund and also the Kumul arrangements.
Oh, okay.
So it's an exciting program, and we certainly value all the speakers that'll be in attendance. There's over 63 of them, and they also have very competent panel chairs as well.
Okay.
So 17th is the launching of the Trade Expo, and then from the 18th to the 19th is the forum itself.
Sure.
And the whole program will be at the Leh International Hotel. So we're converting that into a business forum.
And that was Mr. Doveri Henao, the Executive Director of the Business Council of Papua New Guinea. Coming up on the show, the recent convergence of APAC leaders also saw ABAC representatives from each economy engage in high-level policy dialogue on human capacity building. Last week, the APAC Business Advisory Council, chaired by Ms. Doris Magsaysay Ho from the Philippines, met in Port Moresby for a two-day high-level policy dialogue on human capacity building. On the agenda was connectivity between the economies and how to achieve greater economic integration. Business PNG had an exclusive chat with Ms. Magsaysay Ho. Business and political leaders must do more to ensure no one is left behind as the Asia-Pacific region continues to grow. This is the key message from the APAC Business Advisory Council, otherwise known as ABAC. ABAC was created by the APAC economic leaders in November 1995 to provide advice on the implementation of the Osaka Action Agenda and on other specific business sector priorities between economies, and to respond when the various APAC economies request information about business-related issues or to provide the business perspective on specific areas of cooperation.
ABAC works closely with the APAC officials of the 21 economies in putting the business inputs into the policy and the international regional relations.
ABAC comprises of up to 3 members of the private sector from each economy, represented by the respective leaders, and represent a range of business sectors, including small and medium enterprises.
The Prime Minister has appointed 6 gentlemen to be part of that advisory for Papua New Guinea. And the 3 representatives, Mr. Wayne Golding from Kina group of companies. You also have Matthew Chung as part of the Garamut Holdings. And the president of the Business Council, David Toa, is a representative there. The other alternates, Mr. Augustine Mano of MRDC. You also have Rio Fiocco Lawyers. And the final one is Ezekiel Tareka, the Vice President of Interoil. So these gentlemen represent collectively the business interest of Papua New Guinea in the discussions of APAC.
ABAC has always maintained that closer economic integration is the best response to the challenges to growth and stability facing the APAC economies.
The whole idea of regional economic integration has been the focus of APEC for the past 20 plus years, and you can see that there has been tremendous growth in trade. However, the Philippines felt that for it to be truly meaningful and for it to be truly successful, it has to include many more people in the equation.
Connectivity between Asia Pacific has for so long eluded the region due to a number of contributing factors, such as barriers to trade and investment caused by infrastructure or policy. Connectivity between the economies was one of the discussion topics during the high-level dialogues.
More and more, APEC is using the word connectivity. Basically, we talk about regional integration, but this idea of connectivity to me is a great vision. It's really talking about connecting institutions. It's talking about connecting physical connections, you know, things like logistics, like my business. And the third one is people-to-people connectivity. And I think when I come here, you really get impressed how it is really such a global place, because you have foreign people, people from the Philippines, from Australia, from other countries, India, working in your economy.
Ms. Magsaysay Ho also remarked that the vitality of small, medium and micro-sized enterprises is key to ensuring no one is left behind, as is the inclusion of women.
Our thrust this year and our focus is around the theme of inclusivity, inclusive growth. So the whole idea is, how do you now make all the policies that are being developed, all the initiatives that are being explored, all the cooperation that's being formed, how do you make it as relevant for the smaller businesses? Sure. Also, how do you include more women into the economy? How do you ensure that, that this whole idea of global trade can also be equally available to people with disabilities that don't have the same mobility as others? So it's a very exciting theme, I think. And what we hope to do this year is to come up with some very clear, actionable plans and also some deliverables.
ABEC will be developing recommendations to enhance SMMEs' access to ideas, markets, financing, technology, and entrepreneurial skills. Still to come, Post-PNG's breakthrough new business model to keep up with the changing economy. State-owned enterprise Post-PNG is in the process of getting a new facelift to evolve from the traditional business of a post office to that of a multifaceted agent. The uplift includes introducing new products and services to keep up with the changing world, such as money transfer services.
The constant change in technology continues to place a strain on the once vibrant postal service. With more and more Papua New Guineans now using emails as the preferred medium of communication, business has been difficult for national postal service provider Post-PNG. With fewer people using postal services, Post-PNG has had to embark on innovative ways to ensure it maintains its relevance. Among these innovations has been the introduction of the mobile money product, Mobile SMK, based on the hugely popular Salim Money Quick service. Post-PNG has also ventured into the logistics business through Post Logistics. All these are part of an overall changing of the guard for this state-owned enterprise.
I guess the first business that suffers is the postal services that we distribute or deliver to our people in the country. And of recent times, we all know the challenges that PNG Post has been going through, both in terms of restructuring itself, trying to establish each business under these challenging circumstances. It has not been easy. But as government, of course, we have to support PNG Post into adapting into this new business environment. It is also pleasing to note that PNG Post is turning the corner. And that is that it is improving in the quality of the services that you are delivering to our citizens throughout the country. But I know there is more yet to be done. We must continue to work together in strengthening and increasing the level of service that we provide to our communities, particularly the rural settings who are in the remotest districts throughout the country. In a few months, when we go to Parliament in May 26, in fact, this month, we will be introducing the new Kumul restructuring legislation that will be passed. The Kumul restructuring legislation is very simple. It is aimed at giving more independence to SOEs, less interference from government, making sure that you can operate independently and making sure that the board of directors and the management take ownership of the decisions that they make. We are restructuring the IBBC structure so that it will give more flexibility to SOEs when making business decisions so that they are done on a timely basis. When we set up the Independent Public Business Corporation, we did not realize that some of the legislative structures that we had were frustrating the businesses in the manner in which they operated. It created another level of bureaucratic layer which was not enabling businesses to make decisions on a timely basis. And as a result, many opportunities were missed. Investments that businesses could have made were not possible because approvals were not given on time. And that is why we are restructuring the entire investment strategy of government so that we can have independent board of directors, more independent board of directors on the boards of these individual SOEs, so that you can be able to conduct the businesses in a very professional manner.
With the new board and management team, Post PNG has seen a drastic change in its operations over the last 2 years. The introduction of new services has provided opportunities to partner with other SOEs to build capacity, whilst at the same time remain competitive in this age of increasing digital communication. Given the developments taking place within Post PNG, confidence in the ability of this SOE has been steadily increasing. And the SOE again provided another reason for this with the presentation of a dividend check to IPBC. And the board and management of Post PNG have assured the country of improved services now and into the future.
I'd like to also acknowledge our predecessors who were custodians of Post PNG during their time. So we shouldn't forget that we are also custodians of Post PNG, and we should aspire to leave Post PNG in better condition than what we found it. So this year is the first year since corporatization 26 years ago that Australia Post is not paying a dividend. But I suspect that it's the first year in 26 years that Post PNG is paying a cash dividend. And certainly since Post PNG corporatization 1997, about 17 years ago. So in addition, additional dividends being generated by an increase of 60 million in net assets over 3 years from 2012 to 2015. And these changes will enable us to move more into the rural outlying areas. So as technology is changing the world, so it's all changing our business model, as Prime Minister referred to, and it's throwing up challenges for us to remain viable. So in order for us to remain viable, we too have to change the way we operate, because as I've said, dinosaurs go extinct, so we must make sure that we do not become a dinosaur and remain relevant despite our challenges. So by Post PNG remaining viable, we are able to offer employment, career opportunities and prosperity to our people and their children to come, which is what Chairman IPBC referred to earlier.
And here are some news bites that made the headlines in the past week. Papua New Guinea is amongst the top 4 nations in the world that Israel is eyeing to partner with in its developing agriculture sector. Minister for Trade, Commerce and Industry recently announced on his return from Israel. Minister Maru said PNG can learn a lot from Israel, and he'll be recommending the state to establish a PNG embassy in Israel in the coming parliament sitting.
Minister Maru made a number of important announcements that will see PNG strengthening its bilateral relationship with Israel. These announcements include feasibility studies that will be conducted in Ramu Valley in Medang, Sepik Plain in East Sepik, Makam Valley in Morobe, and the Baya Valley in the Western Highlands province. The studies, which will be aimed at identifying potential areas to grow the different cash crops and vegetables that will be exported out of PNG.
Papua New Guinea is one of the 4 countries that Israel specifically wants to build trade, investment, and very strong bilateral relationship with. You imagine of all the countries of the world, they put PNG among the top 4. And that message was conveyed to me independently in the different meetings, bilateral meetings we had.
Maru said the agriculture sector in PNG will be transformed if we bring in the agriculture expertise, skills and knowledge from Israel and use them in PNG.
So you just see the potential of Papua New Guinea if we ever draw Israeli expertise, technical advice, scientific advice, what will happen to our country? They are now exporting 40 billion a year in export in agriculture alone.
Last month, Maru represented the PNG government and led a delegation to Israel where he attended the 19th International Agriculture Exhibition. The event presented great opportunities for the development of our agriculture sector and was attended by over 35 nations. The conference paved the way for more discussions between the private sectors of both nations that may eventuate into the creation of a public entity fund in PNG to finance large-scale agricultural and commercial activities within the country.
He did a very good job, but we need to have our own office there. So companies can talk to us every day, and investors and other funding agencies.
The move to partner with Israel is expected to see an increase in the output of cash crops and livestock produced in the country. While bilateral talks are expected to continue, the Trade, Commerce and Industry Department is already planning to assist the Israel government to stage its first ever inaugural trade show in the country.
20 hectares of land has been allocated in Morobe for a trial project that will grow cassava for alcohol production. This is part of an understanding between the Department of Agriculture and SP Brewery. They also hope to turn this venture into a money maker for communities who will grow the cassava.
This is the piece of land at Morobe's Arab area that will be used to grow cassava. The Department of Agriculture and Livestock with SP Brewery have agreed to set up a cassava project as part of a trial. Starch obtained from the cassava roots will be used as an ingredient to produce alcohol. SP Brewery has been using imported starch in most of its productions. The project is expected to attract local participation in farming of the crop.
We're anticipating that there will be 3,000 to 5,000 smallholder cassava growers around this locality.
More than 50,000 people within Makam, Nawai and Huengaf districts in Morobe will be engaged as small growers. Planting of cassava is expected to start in July. Minister for Agriculture and Livestock Tommy Tomskol says the project is expected to improve the livelihoods of local communities. The agriculture sector's local production is expected to rise, at the same time cutting down on import costs.
And that's all we have for you tonight. For more business news, if you would simply like to view this episode again, visit MTV online at www.mtv.com.pg. Or to join the conversation, like our page on Facebook for daily business news, or follow us on Twitter at BusinessPNG using the hashtag BusinessPNG. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Leanne Jarari, and this is Business PNG.